Shoutout. I'm a performing artist and television radio presenter and a university lecturer, Unilag. Keep watching Souq News.
Hello everyone, my name is Kenny Black, Africa's finest music comedian, and you're watching Souq News. If you're not watching Souq News, I pity you, but keep watching Souq News.
Hello everyone, my name is Timmy Dakolo and you're watching Souq News. Stay tuned.
Hi, my name is Wisdom Oluwaseun Okoko, co-founder Orbit Africa Properties. I'm live at Souq News. Guys, keep watching Souq News for everything that concerns business, economy, politics, news. Souq News is your station.
My name is Olatunji Shoutout. I'm a performing artist and television radio presenter and a university lecturer, Unilag. Keep watching Souq News.
Hello everyone, my name is Kenny Black, Africa's finest music comedian, and you're watching Souq News. If you're not watching Souq News, I pity you, but keep watching Souq News.
Hello everyone, my name is Timmy Dakolo and you're watching Souq News. Stay tuned.
Hi, my name is Wisdom Oluwaseun Okoko, co-founder Orbit Africa Properties. I'm live at Souq News. Guys, keep watching Souq News for everything that concerns business, economy, politics, news. Souq News is your station.
Compassion, paradox, non-polarization. 3 key competences for any leader that wants to be visionary, courageous, and take bold decisions without fear. I believe that more than at any point in time, today the world needs visionary, courageous leaders who will not be fearful to take bold decisions. I'm convinced more deeply about this based on the work that I did with the AACSB International. The AACSB is a body that accredits business schools, of which I'm on the advisory board. And we're looking at what are the competences that a leader will need in today's complex world, where you have things like large language models, artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, and all the things that are happening around us. What kind of a leader do we need? How do we equip them in the schools? And 3 areas that we don't seem to touch at all are 1, compassion, paradox, and non-polarization. Let me expatiate on each of these ones. The typical leader is painted as Superman, macho, don't show any emotion, get it done. Sometimes the team member that you're leading, they need to know that you are there for them. They need to know that you have their back. Maybe you've been performing historically very well, but you've fallen onto some personal difficulties. Could be marital, it could be health or whatever. And at that point in your low ebb, you don't need someone trampling on you and making you feel less of yourself. At this point in time, you need in your leader a shoulder on which you can cry on, a listening ear, a voice that says, don't worry, I've got you. Compassion, never taught in any school. And very important that it should be taught because it's part of the leadership competences that will differentiate someone from a mediocre leader into a visionary and courageous leader. The other competence is paradox. And sometimes as leaders, we are so conceited that we are holding on to a view which is fantastically wrong. And we don't want to see the truth because we don't want to be wrong. But just consider this, that sometimes it's based on a whole lot of experiential input that you come up with the right result. Consider 3 blind men trying to determine an elephant. The one at the tail will say, oh, this is a rope. The one at the legs will say, this is a tree. The one at the side will say, definitely a wall. The one at the trunk will say, I'm holding a snake. And none of them is wrong or entirely right. It's only when you take the totality of the experiential that you come up with the right answer. It is an elephant. And this is also important, to hold a thought that it's not just my way or the highway. What are the other inputs to get to the right place? And the last but not the least is non-polarization. We program ourselves into binary. Austin, do you like tea or coffee? The moment you ask me that question, I can add two more options. I could like none, or I could like both. So instead of two options, I have immediately created two more. I have four options. And as leaders, we tend to fall into that binary trap. This is the correct one, this is the wrong one. But let me give you an example. If you write the figure 6, I see 6, and I say this is 6. Ronald sees a 9 because he's standing ahead of the 6, and he says this is a 9. And we trade blows, and we call each other names, and we call each other liars. But if I go on to Ronald's side, I'll see that what he's seeing is a 9. And if he comes over to my side, he'll see that what I'm seeing is a 6. So it's not binary. We shouldn't have polarization. Rather, we should strive to see things from the other person's perspective. The best example to illustrate this is little Mary that is being taught mathematics at school. And the teacher says to Mary, if I give you 2 apples and I give you 2 more apples, how many apples do you have? Mary says, I will have 5 apples. Teacher is very annoyed. Mary, you are thick. We went through this several times yesterday. If I give you 2 apples and I give you 2 more apples, how many apples would you have? If the teacher had asked Mary, why do you say 5? Mary would have told the teacher, because my mom packed 1 apple for me in my bag. So if you give me 2 apples and 2 more, plus the 1 in my bag, I will have 5 apples. Think about it. Compassion, paradox, non-polarization. 3 key competencies for any leader that wants to be visionary, courageous, and take bold decisions without fear.
My name is Dr. Rafiu Oladipo.
My name is Baba Jalal Repega.
I'm Reverend Juliet Benite.
I'm Godi Odidi.
My name is Professor Oladokun Sulaiman Olarawaju.
Souq News is on the ground, loading.
Very enlightening, very educative, and entertaining.
Thank you to Souq News.
So I'm happy that Souq TV has come into existence.
I'm happy to be here in the Souq News.
I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel and keep watching news that makes sense.
As Browning said, one's extension of one's reach should not exceed one's grasp, or what is heaven for. And I think Souq News is doing that.
Africa needs a voice of truth, and Souq News has become one of them. And get ready, get ready, get ready.
And keep watching.
Keep watching Souq News.
Keep watching Souq News. It's a place to be.
Keep watching.
My name is Dr. Agility Obi.
My name is Etemari Glover. Naomi, well done, and shout out to Souq News.
Shout out to Souq News. I want to encourage everyone to keep watching Souq News.
Shout out to Souq News, and yes, tune into them.
Keep watching Souq News. They are one in town.
Hey, we're watching Souq News.
Keep watching Souq News.
Keep watching Souq News. Catch them on YouTube and all social media channels.
Hey, my name is Frank Edowo, and I'm imploring you. No, forget that. I am forcing you, coercing you to always stay tuned to Souq News for your news requirements.
My name is Dr. Rafiu Oladipo.
My name is Baba Jalal Repega.
I'm Reverend Juliet Benite.
I'm Godi Odidi.
My name is Professor Oladokun Sulaiman Olarawaju.
Souq News is on the ground, loading.
Very enlightening, very educative, and entertaining.
Thank you to Souq News.
So I'm happy that Souq TV has come into existence.
I'm happy to be here in the Souq News.
I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel and keep watching news that makes sense.
As Browning said, one's extension of one's reach should not exceed one's grasp, or what is heaven for. And I think Souq News is doing that.
Africa needs a voice of truth, and Souq News has become one of them. And get ready, get ready, get ready.
And keep watching.
Keep watching Souq News.
Keep watching Souq News. It's a place to be.
Keep watching.
My name is Dr. Agility Obi.
My name is Etemere Glover. Naomi, well done, and shout out to Souq News.
Shout out to Souq News. I want to encourage everyone to keep watching Souq News.
Shout out to Souq News, and yes, tune into them.
Keep watching Souq News. They are one in town.
Hey, we're watching Souq News.
Keep watching Souq News.
Keep watching Souq News. Catch them on YouTube and all social media channels.
Hey, my name is Frank Edowo, and I'm imploring you. No, forget that. I am forcing you, coercing you to always stay tuned to Souq News for your news requirements.
My name is Dr. Rafiu Oladipo.
My name is Baba Jalal Repega.
I'm Reverend Juliet Benite.
I'm Godi Odidi.
My name is Professor Oladokun Sulaiman Olarawaju.
Souq News is on the ground, loading.
Very enlightening, very educative, and entertaining.
Thank you to Souq News.
So I'm happy that Souq TV has come into existence.
I'm happy to be here in the Souq News.
I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel and keep watching news that makes sense.
As Browning said, one's extension of one's reach should not exceed one's grasp, or what is heaven for. And I think Souq News is doing that.
Africa needs a voice of truth, and Souq News has become one of them. And get ready, get ready, get ready.
And keep watching.
Keep watching Souq News.
Keep watching Souq News. It's a place to be.
Keep watching.
I'm okay.
My name is Raymond Bola Brown.
Hi, my name is Fred Amata, and you are on to Souq News.
If you are watching this channel for the first time, make sure you continue to watch it, because this is Souq News.
Shout out to Souq News. Actually, I don't know. I really enjoyed the little moment I spent with you, and I think with more of this.
Souq News. Here's the Souq News, who had the courage to transcend a locked off camera and actually have a conversation with a human being. It's a pleasure, Souq News. Thank you very much.
My name is Dr. Agility Obi.
My name is Etemere Glover. Naomi, well done, and shout out to Souq News.
Shout out to Souq News. I want to encourage everyone to keep watching Souq News.
Shout out to Souq News, and yes, tune into them.
Keep watching Souq News. They are one in town.
Hey, we're watching Souq News.
Keep watching Souq News.
Keep watching Souq News. Catch them on YouTube and all social media channels.
Hey, my name is Frank Edowo, and I'm imploring you. No, forget that. I am forcing you, coercing you to always stay tuned to Souq News for your news requirements.
Leadership is basically built on trust. Trust is the currency of brand. And the leader's brand is what attracts people to him to be inspired by it. Trust is the currency of brand. And the leader's brand is what attracts people to him to be inspired by it. And that trust is built on three key pillars. And the first one is basically being your true authentic self, or your credibility. And the Greeks call that your ethos. The second one is the rigor of your logic, the soundness of your discourse. And that's the Greeks called logos. And the third one is your empathy. And that empathy the Greeks call pathos. As a leader, people see and sense from you your distraction towards them. And think about the person that you visit your most distraction to, be it your spouse, be it your colleague, your staff. The one that you visit the most distraction to is the one that you most withhold your empathy, and they can feel it. Think about it. Somebody sitting in front of you and interviewing for a job, and they keep looking at their phone. How likely are you to give them that job? Probably not. But you display that all the time to people that look up to you, and you wonder why they don't see you as an effective leader. The other one, being the rigor of logic, is a bit easier to tackle because throughout life we are always on learning and relearning. And the best thing to do to stay current, apart from having your deep area of specialization, is to have what we call an inch deep and mile wide knowledge of a whole plethora of things. Wide variety of things you learn about that makes you connected to people on various levels and increases your network. I think the other one, which is the credibility, is the one that we most flaunt. And that is the one that has got to do with being your true authentic self. And you find a lot of people, especially on social media, are trying to portray what they are not. They are trying to fake it. And it comes across very quickly when you are not being your true authentic self. And people pick it up and they don't trust you. If they don't trust you, they don't look up to you as a leader. Leadership is important. It is true leadership that we can nurture people to become future leaders. But we have to do it right. We have to earn it.
Dr. Agility will be his.
My name is Etemere Glover. Naomi, well done, and shout out to Souq News. Shout out to Souq News. I want to encourage everyone to keep watching Souq News. Shout out to Souq News, and yes, tune into them.
Keep watching Souq News. They are one in town.
Hey, we're watching Souq News.
Keep watching Souq News.
Keep watching Souq News. Catch them on YouTube and all social media channels.
Hey, my name is Frank Edowo, and I'm imploring you. No, forget that. I am forcing you, coercing you to always stay tuned to Souq News for your news requirements.
My name is Dr. Agility will be his.
My name is Etemere Glover. Naomi, well done, and shout out to Souq News. Shout out.
Good morning and welcome to Early Exchange with Blessing Aiche, Femi Ayodele, Sam Oruboje, and Idahosa Osamanze.
It's a national orientation agency. It's, as far as I'm concerned, very ideal and unprofessional.
Government says that subsidy is not in oil, and government is not supposed to be paying subsidy in oil.
Energy or whatever kind of off-grid solution we will be looking at.
Today we are conducting mining today. Solid minerals, as an example, is, in no disrespect to anybody, is abysmal. We definitely need improvements in those areas. Of course, there are infrastructural needs.
This is Early Exchange, shaping policy, advancing development.
Another great opportunity for us to look at issues related to business, national development, and the economy. Every day we always present new opportunity, and here we are. This is Early Exchange, and I am Femi Ayodele. As you know, the Early Exchange is all about shaping policy and advancing development.
Good morning and welcome to Early Exchange with Blessing Aiche, Femi Ayodele, Sam Oruboje, and Idahosa Osamanze.
It's a national orientation agency. It's, as far as I'm concerned, very ideal and unprofessional.
Government says that subsidy is not in oil, and government is not supposed to be paying subsidy in oil.
Energy or whatever kind of off-grid solution we will be looking at.
Today we are conducting mining today. Solid minerals, as an example, is, in no disrespect to anybody, is abysmal. We definitely need improvements in those areas. Of course, there are infrastructural needs.
This is Early Exchange, shaping policy, advancing development.
All right, we sincerely apologize for that disruption. You know, we're going to continue our special series on the World Economic Forum taking place in Davos in Switzerland. The forum started on Monday, and then it's still ongoing. And specifically, we're going to look at artificial intelligence as part of, you know, the agenda for that conference. Don't forget, you can be part of this conversation by going on our social media platform, on our YouTube page, using the hashtag #EarlyExchange. We hope that to spend the next 2 hours with us will make your day worthwhile. I'm not alone. Blessing is here. Blessing, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Femi. I'm good, and you?
Yeah, great.
All right, it's another day for us to take them on different issues happening around the globe as it concerns economic development. And then you already told them that we'll be continuing the series on the Davos conference, which is ongoing in Switzerland. And we thank you for joining us this morning. It's going to be a great show as always. We ask that you stay with us so you can have great insight into what's happening, how can you position yourself, your business, and take advantage of the new developments. Now, to update us on what has happened since the show ended yesterday is Adesua Eremusele. So let's get over now to the news studio.
Hello and welcome to News Update right here on Souq News. I'm Adesua Eremusele. The European Investment Bank says it will finance Northvolt Gigafactory in northern Sweden with a total lending package slightly over $1.038 billion. The financing is an important part of the $5 billion debt financing raised for the expansion of the Gigafactory in Skellefteå. The financing, backed by the Swedish National Debt Office and the European Commission Invest program through commercial banks. According to a statement released on the website of the financial institution, the expansion is expected to increase the annual output capacity for battery production to up to 60 gigawatt per hour, and will facilitate the creation of a fully integrated circular battery production facility that has not previously existed outside Asia. The bank's vice president, Thomas Ostros, noted that the bank has recognized Northvolt's potential and importance for the energy transition and is ready to support them to become EU's climate bank. Starting from the 1st of April 2024, Bulgaria and Romania are set to issue short-term Schengen visas, specifically to Schengen C visas, to allow entry and stays of up to 90 to 180 days. This development follows European Union Council's recent decision granting Bulgaria and Romania partial access to the Schengen area, aiming to eliminate border controls of air and sea borders. According to a report from Economic Times, while the decision on lifting land border control is pending, the move is expected to facilitate freedom of movement via air and sea, benefiting individuals and businesses. Having joined the EU in 2007, Bulgaria and Romania's journey to Schengen membership spans over a decade, and this development marks the 9th expansion of the Schengen area, promising to boost travel, trade, and tourism while reinforcing the internal market. Moving on, Elon Musk has expressed his concerns about growing the automaker into a leader in artificial intelligence and robotics without having at least 25% vote control. Musk, in a social media post on X, formerly Twitter, stated that unless this condition is met, Musk indicated a preference for developing products outside Tesla. Despite his emphasis on Tesla's partially automated, fully self-driving software and humanoid robots, his primary focus remains on Tesla's automotive business. Analysts suggested that Tesla's technology technologies, including the Dodger supercomputer for AI model training, contribute significantly to the company's valuation. Musk, who is currently holding around 13% of Tesla's stock, expressed openness to a dual-class share structure to attain 25% voting control, referencing Meta's pre-IPO multi-class structure. Shell PLC has finalized agreement to sell its Nigerian onshore oil and gas subsidiary to Renaissance Consortium for a total of $2.4 billion. While revealing this on its official website, Shell PLC noted that the divestment of SPDC is structured with a base amount of $1.3 billion, complemented by additional payments of up to $1.1 billion. Despite the onshore exit, Shell retains its liquefied natural gas plant and other assets in Nigeria. The buyer, Renaissance, a consortium consisting of ND Western, Aradel Energy, First and EP, Walter Smith, and Petroleum, marks a significant move for Shell as it addresses operational challenges and focuses on future ventures in Nigeria. ChatGPT makers OpenAI has outlined a plan to prevent its platform from being used to spread election misinformation as voters in more than 50 countries prepare to cast their ballot in national elections this year. OpenAI said it will digitally watermark AI images created using the DALL-E image generator. This will permanently mark the content with information about its origin, making it easier to identify whether an image that appears elsewhere on the web was created using the AI tool. Additionally, the platform will ban people from using its technology to create chatbots that impersonate real candidates or governments, to misrepresent how voting works, or to discourage people from voting, adding that until more research can be done on the persuasive power of its technology, it won't allow its users to build applications for the purposes of political campaigning or lobbying. And with that, we call it a wrap on the morning news update right here on Souq News. I'm Adesua Iramoseli. Many thanks for watching.
All right, thank you, Adesua, for the news update. Indeed, you took us around the world with your update. Now we'll go on a short break. When we'll come back, we'll now kick off our major conversation for today, which is to look at artificial intelligence. Stay with us.
My name is Dr. Rafiu Oladipo.
My name is Baba Jalal Repega.
I'm Reverend Juliet Benite.
I'm Godio Didi.
My name is Professor Oladokun Sulaiman Olarawaju.
Souq News is on the ground, loading.
Very enlightening, very educative, and entertaining.
Thank you to Souq News.
So I'm happy that Souq TV has come into existence.
I'm happy to be here in the Souq News.
I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel and keep watching news that makes sense.
As Browning said, one's extension of one's reach should not exceed one's grasp, or what is heaven for. And I think Souq News is doing that.
Africa needs a voice of truth, and Souq News has become one of them. And get ready, get ready, get ready.
And keep watching.
Keep watching Souq News.
Keep watching Souq News. It's a place to be.
Keep watching.
I'm okay.
My name is Raymond Bola Brown.
Hi, my name is Fred Amata, and you're on to Souq News.
If you are watching this channel for the first time, make sure you continue to watch it, because this is Souq News.
Shout out to Souq News. Actually, I don't know. I really enjoyed the little moment I spent with you, and I think with more of this.
Souq News. Here's the Souq News, who had the courage to transcend a locked off camera and actually have a conversation with a human being. It's a pleasure, Souq News. Thank you very much.
Good morning and welcome to Early Exchange with Blessing H.A., Femi Ayodele, Sam Oruoje, and Idahosa Osamanze.
It's a national orientation agency. It's, as far as I'm concerned, very idle and unprofessional.
The government says that subsidy is not in oil and government is not supposed to be paying subsidy in oil.
Energy or whatever kind of oil solution we will be looking at.
Today we are conducting mining today. Solid minerals, as an example, is, in no disrespect to anybody, is abysmal. We definitely need improvements in those areas. Of course, there are infrastructural needs.
This is Early Exchange, shaping policy, advancing development.
The role artificial intelligence will play in global growth cannot be undermined at all, and that is why at the ongoing Davos conference, 30 different sessions have been dedicated to talk about this. And to talk about it, here in the studio we have an IT expert, Seyi Akindele, founder, Hyperspace Technology Limited. It's good to see you in this new year. Happy New Year to you first, and good morning.
Good morning. Happy New Year to you. Thank you for having me. Good morning. Pleased to see you. Yeah.
All right, like I just said, the role of artificial intelligence as a driving force for the economy and society cannot be undermined. Imagine dedicating 30 different sessions just to talk about artificial intelligence. It seems like a force that has come into the world and is sweeping with just very great force. But really, what roles will AI play in shaping global economy over at least the next decade?
Thank you very much for that. Yes, like you just alluded to, I was watching the World Economic Forum on TV yesterday as well. And when you start to hear world leaders, when you start to hear people that matter, start to narrow down on a particular field of study, then it tells you that we're talking about something that is very, very, transformative. In fact, I think that the theme of this entire 2024 should just be on things around artificial intelligence and what it can do. And coming back to the question, the last time we had something like this that was very close to this kind of transformation that everybody was talking about was at the advent. I don't know if you remember the advent of the internet, when everybody could all of a sudden, I don't know if you remember the very first time you sent an email to somebody and the person received it. That's the kind of thing we are also having here, because it is cutting across every sector, every field. There is no, it's not like it's something that is peculiar to a particular segment, and that is the role it is going to play. Everybody somehow is going to have to align with that. It's going to take away a lot of jobs. It's going to create brand new jobs that we have probably even, just like the internet when it came as well, you realize that there were a lot of people too that were concerned about, if at the time I remember sending an email, all of a sudden people that companies like letter or post offices started getting worried that, okay, what's going to be in it for us? But guess what happened? The transition from sending letters to sending parcels. So the same thing is going to happen in the artificial intelligence world, where we now have machines doing some of the repetitive tasks that humans are doing, which will now free up humans to do more creative endeavors, as it were. So that's the role it's going to play, and it's going to elevate some of the because the way it works is, you have packed a lot of human intelligence that over time has been generated. These are years. Imagine, like before, if you wanted to, I remember when I was in school, if you want to do some kind of research for your final year project, you'd have to go to a library, you have to look at books, you have to study, maybe 20, 30 books, and then it takes time. But now, with the advent of the internet, with the advent of, AI, you can sit on the computer and just key in certain things, and it will actually give you the information within a short period of time. That means that it now frees up time to create a lot more. And because we're talking about computers doing this thing, it gives us more creativity in some of these things. So we're seeing it affecting, especially like things in healthcare. There are diseases, there are things that are happening now that we still haven't had cures for. Maybe if we had this AI during COVID, it may have given us, the formula for the vaccine. If some doctors had keyed it in. So those are some of the things we'll see. It's going to affect every sector from entertainment to education to healthcare to retail to whatever you want to have it.
All right, talking about the World Economic Forum taking place in Davos, you see that world leaders are gathering together and they are of great concern when it comes to the issue of AI. Now, let me make reference to a statement made by Bill Gates, the Microsoft co-founder. He said, artificial intelligence will drive a dramatic shift in productivity across the labor market. I would like you to react to this because they have their sessions and several leaders are taking turns to talk about their concerns about artificial intelligence. But his own take is that it's going to drive a dramatic shift in productivity across the labor market. How do you react to this?
Yes, and he would be right if he says that. Every time I always talk about any technology, any piece of technology that is new, there are three things that it must fulfill. You think about it is, does this piece of technology, does it make me money? Does it does it allow me to make more money? Number two, does it save me money? Does it, help me save money? And the third and most important thing is, does it solve a problem? And that part is what Bill Gates was talking about, that it is going to drive things that would take time before, things that you probably be spending 3, 4, 5, 6 days, And I'm even looking at it even from the point of view of what we are doing. I mean, very soon, I'm sure I'll probably come into the studio one day and all we'll have here would probably be machines that automatically, as soon as they, capture, they are editing, they are uploading, they are, those are the kinds of things that we'll see. So it's going to drive up, productivity. Well, these are tools, don't let us forget that at the end of the day, it's going to augment what humans would do. It's not going to take away the human role. There is no, at this point in time, maybe in 50 years, maybe in 100 years, we'll have machines, opening doors and driving. Yes, we'll get there. But right now, it's just going to augment what you and I are doing. So what you probably do, maybe sometimes you want to write a script for an interview like this before you'll have had to probably do a lot of research by yourself, knowing what AI is. But right now, you can simply just key in certain things in ChatGPT and to give you certain, questions that you can now amend. So it frees you up to do a lot more things. It helps you understand a lot of you see, artificial intelligence is the way we're using, especially the generative AI part of it, which seems to be the one people are talking about. There's still another part called deep learning. Now it's a bit like a search engine on steroid, like when you have Google, normally when you use Google will give you like 20 items to read, but this goes straight to the point. So it allows you, frees you to do more important things, to be more creative, to be more creatively minded, sort of to help you in what you're doing and drive up the productivity that you already have. So it's going to 100x whatever we're doing now, and I think that that's just the starting point for this AI that we're talking about.
All right, we also have someone joining us in this discussion via Zoom. We have Samuel Austin, and he will be joining us. Good morning, Samuel.
Good morning. Can you hear me clearly?
It's good to have you in Early Exchange. All right, Samuel.
Hi,
now, AI is predicted to affect the world economy unequally. Now, could you speak to that, why it is said to affect the world economy unequally? Are there certain economies that will have different or will feel the effect of AI differently than others, and what are the reasons?
Thank you so much for having me here. It's always good to talk about artificial intelligence and something. You're absolutely right. As much as we want AI for economy change, we're going to see a lot of drastic change economically. We must also still focus on society. And when we talk about society now, we know that there's a lot of high impact economy where we have things like the Western world, US, UK, all these other countries that have already high impact economy, where their economy are running very smoothly, very fast, with a lot of manufacturing. But when you come to places like Africa, India, which we're already seeing some influx of AI in these countries. For example, in India, we're seeing a lot of the use of AI for many of their economy, but there's still an inequality going on. One of the inequalities we must look into is the fact that young people can use this technology, but old people cannot. And if we are aware, many of the companies or industries are ran by many of the big or older generation people, which some of them do not know how to use this technology. And again, as the other speaker was speaking earlier, it's still the same way as when we first had emails, and some people could not use emails, but over time they got to use it. So one of the inequalities, the young and the old. Another part is the high impact jobs and low impact jobs. Some of the jobs that are still in Africa are still things like media jobs, artisans job, which some of these things are still needed in our economy. But if you look in the Western world, they already have many of the things that already have been covered, these little tasks, mini tasks that could be taken over by robots or could be taken over by technology, works effectively more there than over here. So there's still a disparity with the adoption of AI, even technology generally, locally here in Africa in comparison to other Western countries. I think the comparison we should put here would be two things about the age gap, but also even just the measure of the way jobs are done across our economy in general will be things that we should look into. In this regards, I would say we should probably just look into, as countries now and even across the world, even the fact that it's speaking so much about AI, you know that there's a lot of things that even has to do with climates, and what we should be looking at in our countries will be more about just AI preparedness and how prepared are different countries, and not only just countries, but individuals and businesses, how prepared are they for this AI? And because there's so much AI tools now coming out on a daily basis. Yesterday, I was seeing one where they have this AI now you can attach to your phone and it takes your phone calls. You just have to press a button and it can take your phone calls. It can take your conversations with people, and it will give you a summary of a conversation, and you have a whole sort of database of your conversation with different people, and you are keeping track of the kind of conversations you have. Just for, like, I was on here today, the things that I've said here today could be recorded on YouTube, but if I had my AI, it would actually make it a more comprehensive and summarized way for what I'm saying, and it would even probably give me a summarized things maybe at the end of the year, just like Spotify did for us last year, and tell me, oh, this is the amount of things you're talking about the most this year, some of these things. But again, being very prepared for this AI influx to be a very good way to look into this inequality that it's on everybody's mind, especially even at the World Economic Forum, which they've talked about very much recently.
All right, Sam, glad to see you once again.
Hey.
Now, let me point your attention to the concern raised by Bill Gates, one of the, prominent leaders at the forum. Apart from talking about, the impact of the productivity of AI when it comes to the labor market, he also raised the concern that AI might also worsen global inequality. Do you share this sentiment?
Yeah, I again, as I mentioned before, we're not really looking into our preparedness for the AI influx, and it's already here. We can't run away from it. What I want us to really look at in this, and some of the ways that this will come in. Again, I've mentioned about this age gap and the way that we're learning. That's one aspect. Another aspect is the ethics and regulations that are happening in our different countries. So one of the first things that I'll mention is how do we evaluate the elements of like years of school or job market mobility? How do we get people into jobs? How do we get people to graduate out of school faster? These are some of the things that we can look into, these inequality stuff. We've looked into Africa right now. We looked in Nigeria. They're already shutting down universities, talking about being able to go to school for 6 weeks and things like that are not correct and not effective. But we need to start evaluating those things because learning technology is faster. Using the technologies become faster. There's some jobs and how to get people into jobs that need to be done more swiftly. Organizations need to start training their people faster to be able to adopt to this technology. There is definitely the inequality that is going to exist because of the age group, the people that are used to this technology technology already. So if you have a kid now that's at 5 years old, 6 years old, you already know that they're already using iPads. They already know how to talk to a computer. You can see them speaking to things like Alexa and saying, hey, Google, and things like that, which many of us still don't even know how to use. We've not even started to make our phones even get used to us by speaking to it more often than actually just typing on it. These are some of the things that we could look into the inequality. The other side of things will be the ethics and regulation of digital business models. So many of our organizations that we have industries, we can look into manufacturing, for instance, in the Western world. Many of the manufacturing are going into using AI now for their task. Amazon, for example, with shipping things, they already use robotics and things like that. But we here in Africa and across India and some of these low or low economic impact countries, we're now seeing how the governments are really looking into the ethics and regulation of adoption of digital business models. So for a business, that how can you infuse digitalization into it? How can you make sure tasks are done through it to make sure that we have a country's legal framework or a country's framework of engaging in different industries or institution using this AI. So definitely, I do agree. My thoughts and my sentiments is the fact that definitely we have this. And this is why people like us stand in this position is to say, okay, we need to go into businesses and start telling them, what is your business model? What's your digital business model? How can you change your business model to be able to adopt AI? Look at it in different processes for your business, from the accounting part of it to the HR to the revenue generation or things like business development or commercialization of your business, even just replying emails and communicating with your customers. How are you looking at integrating this AI into it so that you can actually reduce this inequality that will come your way? Because not AI is, as the other speaker mentioned, if you're looking at this technology, you're looking at the fact that is it making me money, or can it reduce the cost that I'm spending, or is it solving the problem? And AI actually does all of this. It's either it can make you more money, or it can reduce the cost that you're doing, or it's solving a problem in your business. But you want to look into your business at this moment and say, what is the model that I can put into it that can help me adapt myself to the AI boom, the AI rush that's going on at this moment? But definitely, I will agree that there's that inequality, and the two parts we need to look into is one of the parts about education, and the other parts that we need to look into is about this regulation and ethics about how we're infusing business models, digital business models into our country's framework.
All right, so Samuel Austin has talked about a lot of things: adaptation, education, and how AI is going to transform work. Now let's look at the future of work. Now, according to a research done and released, it gave a breakdown of fastest growing occupation from 2021 to 2031. Now, among them, we have data, the job of a data scientist growing by 26% rather. We have data science and analytics growing by 29%. AI and machine learning growing by 31%, renewable energy 27%, healthcare and medical technology 21%. But we do know that not everyone can fit into this, even though they want to adapt. So for the future of work, what's it going to be like? You mentioned earlier that what AI would do is to free up humans for other things. So what other job opportunities will this open up?
Very good question again. You see, AI depends. I mean, you just reeled out some of these statistics, and the first three things you mentioned: data science, data analytics, and AI. And you can see from that, it means data. We need data. Who is going to put the data in AI? AI is not going to do this job by itself. So at the end of the day, we're going to have humans collate. In fact, the direction is such that the way AI is right now is still very plain. It's still very, it's not specific to an industry. So for instance now, I can't go onto AI now and say, oh, who is going to be a guest today on early exchange? You wouldn't know because it doesn't have that data. So over time, we're going to now start to have industry and country specific data. So, and this data, you see, we're generating data every day. If you take a look at something like, I was listening to the new Minister of Immigration saying that, oh, very soon, you can sit in your house and just go online and just put in, and they will bring your passports to you and everything will be done, like that. That is a very good use of, this kind of technology. But at the end of the day, a human being still needs to supply that data that we are going to work with. Now, this data that is being generated, like who is stratifying it, who is storing it, who is collating it to be able to train AI. At the end of the day, so we're going to have these jobs. People are going to come and become proper data scientists. People are going to become training engineers. But therein lies the problem again, because it's also going to, like the other speaker said, it's going to have to do with regulation. I see that it's still, when new technologies come in this part of the world, there's always that urgency to sort of contain it, to put safeguards, to put guardrails, to say, oh, let's not allow it. Because I know for sure that there are some schools that you can't even use mobile phones. Now, if you don't teach kids, these young people, how to use this technology, in this part of the world, I think we're still consuming AI. We are not supplying anything. We're just, everybody's still using ChatGPT. But it's useless to me, because some of the training data they've used, some of them have training biases, such that, for instance, if you're telling it, they have, cultural biases. They have things that we do here that, for instance, if you go and ask it anything about AO, it will give it to you, but it's not going to be like if somebody here has one. So what we need here now are people that will train the data and then encourage young people to learn the back end of the technology, not just from the user point of view. Ability to, how many Nigerians, how many people really know how to feed data to an AI that you can now query? That's what we need to be doing. That's the job of the future. We're going to, you see, people are saying, one of the themes of, apart from the World Economic Forum, there was the CES last week, that's the Consumer and Electronics Show in Las Vegas, where people were saying, oh, people coding would, yes, there won't be so many people coding. It simply means that you can become a coder, because now you can use natural language to say you want to develop something by yourself. You don't need to go and get an engineer. You don't need to go and you sit down and put natural language and say, I want to build so, and the AI will construct it for you. Then it frees you up to do the marketing of your business, to do publicity of your business, to engage clients, because that mundane task. So it gives you power, it gives me power, so right now it just enables, it opens up the door for a lot of, in fact, as I'm talking to you right now, we can't even quantify. Just like when the internet came, nobody really knew that today, so in 10 years, in 15 years, people will sit in their homes, like the former speaker we don't know where he is, but he's able to log into the studio. Guess what medium he's using? He's using the internet. So the same thing, very soon, maybe you will be his avatar that you'll be talking to, and you'll be talking exactly like him, with his reasoning, with his thinking, with his mannerisms, and you would actually think you're talking to me, and we're also still getting value. So those are the kind of things that we're going to see, as we go into the future. It's going to enable a lot of industries, to get to the next level.
All right, let me take the conversation back to Sam. You heard Sheyi talking about the impact of AI when it comes to job creation, but there are two sides to a coin. Just like the concern raised by Bill Gates earlier. Let me read the statement to you this time around on the issue of job loss. He said, the world is going to experience lower labor demand, leading to lower wages and reduced hiring. I would like to have your take on this. Do you foresee job losses as a result of AI?
Thank you for that question. I definitely see a lot of job losses. It's scary, but also exciting, to be honest. I think the last time I was on Souq News, we were talking about AI and healthcare. And I mentioned that individuals would have to start developing their own artificial intelligence, their own personal artificial intelligence. I think the other speaker was just mentioning that my avatar will probably be the one speaking to you, will have my own mannerism and the rest things like that. But definitely there's going to be a loss of many of these jobs. But I don't want that to be a scare to people. It's not one of the things that I really focus on or sit on about this, job loss. Some of the job loss that we'll be looking at are things like repetitive tasks, things like maybe collecting data. For example, the speaker was just talking about the fact that he wouldn't know who's coming on this show today, which are repetitive tasks. You have to write my name all the time. You have to tell the speaker again my name. You have to tell the anchor my name again. Some of these things are things that will be taken away by AI, because then the AI would always be used to the certain type of data collection. So simple data collection tasks, simple data summary, writing of tasks, those type of things will be eradicated. And many of the times, if you look at these things, these are not really things that human beings do generally, or how creative they are as human beings. So definitely, when we talk about the jobs that AI are taking, it's still very minute to the amount of jobs that AI will create, because we have so much to do, especially like in countries like Africa, in places like India. We have a vast amount of virginity to do some amazing things. You know, right now we're talking about AI, but we've not even started to talk about IoTs. And if we look at the relationship between IoTs and AI, there's a relatively new way that leads into a new way that human beings look at Earths in general, which is why we're talking about climate action. How are you aware of where you are going? Some people will tell me they travel to the Western world, and when they get to the United Kingdom, they're already cold. Their brains are trying to acclimatize to those sort of things. But imagine that you had a AI system that can tell you that you're going to UK. This is the change that's going to happen. This is the kind of jacket you can wear to acclimatize yourself over time. You start to connect with things. So when we're looking at the future of work in general, in regards to AI coming into the picture, I think we should start to look at things from a point of before now. We work with technology. That means I'm using this computer now to talk to you guys here at the studio. I have my cell phone. I can use it to call someone, or I can use it to view social media and things like that. But imagine that my computer and these things were talking to themselves. So right now, as I'm speaking, imagine this, my computer is talking to my phone and telling my phone things that are giving me suggestions on things that I can say to you guys. That is the future of work. We need to start looking at the fact that the machines will start to talk to themselves and interact with us so that we can do our job more effectively. So when we talk about the loss of jobs, it is something to mention, but I think that it's really just about the fact that there is going to be all these mini tasks, which I don't even like anymore. These administrative regular things of task and getting things done. I need to know what this one is saying here. The AI just helps you to collate all of that and create a functionality for data. It creates a functionality for why I'm Sam, why the other speaker is who he is, why the anchors are here. It just helps us to be able to make things work more effectively. So definitely, there's going to be lots of jobs. If we look at data that's been mentioned, 40% in some areas, 30% in some places, all of it is around 30, 40, 20% of jobs that will be lost due to these things. But it's not as massive as and we've not started to even give data on how much jobs AI is going to create. But I definitely am very confident that it's going to create more jobs than actually taking away the jobs.
All right, Sam, I want you to respond to this. Now, while Dende was talking, he said that we're just consuming AI as it is. And I believe he was referring to developing countries. And then he talked about AI, for some generative AI, having a training bias. Now, picking from where you left off, talking about effectiveness. Now, what could be the effect of using AI that has some training bias? For instance, data that has been put into the AI with certain bias that do not conform with with a certain culture, and you use those information. What's going to happen?
I just love this question a lot, because I'm so particular about data from Africa. I can't talk about it enough. We do not have much data. This is why I mentioned earlier about the ethics and the regulation of allowing and infusing digital business models into businesses, into industries. Why? I think I've said on Souq News before, some businesses do not even have basically a website. You're not collecting data of the people that are registering on your business. So you would see things like when you're filling out a form for a job, or you're filling out a form to participate in an event, or you're filling out a form to just buy something online. One of the fascinating things that happen is that you're actually selecting male, female, age range, Christian or Muslim or things, black or something. And the Western people are collecting this data, and it's feeding into the industry that you're submitting that data into. And if that data is being collected and collated into providing interaction, so for instance, we have the GPT, which is one of the biggest ones now, but GPT gives us data or gives us conversational information from articulating this data. So let's say an industry like health in the Western world is collecting data on patients. What happens then is that the AI globally, because it's the internet, let's not forget, it's literally only collecting data of the white people. It's not collecting data on black people. So in this regard, I would say that the best thing for us to do right now is to start to infuse digital business models into our businesses. I cannot emphasize this enough, and put something digital into your business. It's not just social media. A lot of people are so particular about being on social media these days that it makes me upset. So one of the things that I will put out here today is that the world is talking about climate, and trash pollutes the earth. Let's say about 3.4 tons every year. I'm very particular about sustainability, and it's the only way we can use AI effectively with data is about sustaining the earth. It's about sustaining businesses, sustaining lives. And for instance, trash is polluting the air 3.4 tons CO2 every year. But social media, digital media, just scrolling on your phone every time is contributing about 5.4 tons to the earth pollution. And if we're using such things in Africa, and that's all we're using, we're not actually producing a real data set of what we should be, how we should be doing things. So we're not having our businesses, our industries, our manufacturing, we're not having our agriculture using digital business models that can bring about lack of this digital bias. So we need to start creating more data sets. I stand for this all the time. We need to create data set that align to global standards, data set that aligns to climate action, data set that aligns to the effectiveness of industries in a location. So for instance, health in Lagos, where is the data of how Lagos is helping diseases like malaria? We saw recently in one of the African countries that they've eradicated malaria entirely. That is a data that if the AI is adopting such data, I would say, okay, one country in Africa now does not have malaria. We need to start putting more of this data here. I love Souq News, always on YouTube, putting data out there. We need to start having more businesses with more digital models that are using digital systems, effective digital systems, and even start to use these AI tools. One of the things I mentioned about is our readiness as a country, our readiness as a continent, our readiness as businesses, as individuals. So putting AI into your life, do you know the AIs that align to the kind of thing you do? For instance, I'm a digital economist and very particular about sustainability. I know the type of AIs that work with the kind of things I do. I know how AIs can assess websites, can assess things and tell me the CO2 that website is contributing to the earth. These things exist. We have AIs that can help you take notes for meetings. Just even as simple as that can reduce a lot of things in your workforce entirely, which you don't have to hire some admin now to be taking meetings notes, or even just complicating meeting note for everybody. You have an AI that can just be in your meeting, and you're integrating all your staff to know that, okay, there's AI that will send everybody a summary, a meeting note after this meeting is completed, so that you know what each and every person is doing. As simple as that task should be integrated into business models of many businesses across the nation. These things will start to help that AI bias that we're having. It will reduce it, because what we're doing with the data is that we're digitalizing the data, but not just digitalizing it, we're putting it on the internet. And as we continue to put this thing on the internet, it starts to reduce the bias of what is happening, because we're having more Black people from Africa putting things, because the bias that we're talking about here is really bias about the AI not knowing if you are Black or white, or not knowing if you are from a low-income country, or a high-income country, or a high economic impact country, or low economic impact country, or you're educated or not educated. The AI does not know this. You can type anything to the AI, reply. It doesn't know whether you're a smart guy or you're a genius or anything like that. It doesn't really know. So these are some of the bias. But I think as we continue to put more data online, as we continue to create more digital business models, we start to offset that bias that's happening. But it's really more effectively about data and really about the business models that we're using for our businesses at this point.
Shay, let me bring you in now. Now let's talk about the issue of regulation. He talked about, the deployment of data. I was listening to one of the speakers yesterday who also raised concern about, AI falling into the hands of the bad guys. emerging, you know, if AI is being deployed into armed robbery and things like that. And so for everything good, there's always abuse, or abuse is inevitable. So now let's talk about the issue of regulation. Do you think it's too early to come up with framework for regulation globally? And if this is going to happen, how will it translate? How will it look like?
Thank you. I think it actually is a bit too early. Yes, where you see any new piece of technology that comes out, a lot of the use cases you'd often always find with people that are into these nefarious activities. So even when you look at the internet was made popular by people that were using it for pornography, for instance, because they now found a means of distribution of, you know, their nefarious activities. It was used by people that were doing, you know, these fraudulent activities, gambling. Those were the things that the internet was known for. But you see, in those use cases, you now start to find, you know, positive use cases as a distribution channel. So right now with AI too, we're already seeing people doing deep fakes. I can, you know, if as the Sam is talking now, I don't know if that's a deep fake, for instance, because they are making this thing so real. All they need is like 3 minutes of your voice. They already have your video, and there are AI tools now that can match, you know, all I need to do is type what I want you to say, which is why yesterday at the World Economic Forum, when they were asking Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, about the upcoming US elections and how, you know, they shouldn't use it to manipulate people, because all of a sudden now you can start to use some of those things. He said, well, they are starting to put safeguards. And you see, when you start to put safeguards in these things, they no longer give you the right information. You know, they no longer give you the right, it's like, you know, even Google did it at some point. You know, there was a time when if you Google something here in Africa, you get a different result from if you go to the US or Europe to Google the same thing. So they sort of rate limit what, you know, they give to you, and that is a result of, you know, politicians trying to put unnecessary guardrails. Yes, innovation would always precede, you know, regulation. So what these global policymakers should do is study it and start. You can't essentially put regulation on a piece of technology and say outright, you know, stop it and ban it. What you see is you learn, you know, and then you start to infuse some of these regulations, you know, little by little. Just like when the internet came, no country will say, oh, yank off, don't let us be on the internet. Even as bad as North Korea is, they are still on the internet. But what you do is you now put regulation on the different entities. So if you have ISPs, you now put regulation on them to say, okay, you have to take people that are going to they have to register, you have to collect their name, you have to collect their IP address, you have to collect this, you have to, you know, that's what you do, and then you build up from that. But technology that we don't even know the use to which we can put it, even what it very soon, maybe, you know, constitutions of countries will be entirely based on, you know, AI generated content, and that's what we need to do. And you see, another thing I want us to look at is not just the generative aspect. Everybody is probably focusing on the generative aspect. There are a lot of uses to which even Africans are putting AI to use. I'll give you a very good example. During COVID, you know, immediately the dawn of COVID came, there was a medical doctor in Kenya who, you know, was a very good medical doctor, but at the time he didn't know, they didn't have this equipment. Remember that time there wasn't a way for you to know if somebody had COVID or not. So he decided, you know, he just called and he said, is there a way we can use AI for this thing? So what he did was he wrote a letter to some European, you know, hospital health management board, where they sent him chest x-rays of people that had COVID, you know, because they already had started these things at that time. So when you have COVID, there's a way your chest x-ray will look like. And they sent like 1,000 of them, 1 million of them to him, that, okay, anybody that has COVID, this is the way. So what he now did was to train an AI model, you know, to say, so if a patient comes in Kenya, for instance, you know, and the person is coughing and you don't know whether it's COVID or not, all it does is it takes the chest x-ray and he compares with the one that they sent to him. If they match, you know, using AI, you'll be able to tell him that, oh, this person is 90% a COVID patient, and that's a fantastic use case, you know, for COVID. Even though there was no you know, it wasn't something that was done before, but he now built an app that all of a sudden you could actually take it and then you compare with. So you would even in your house, you know whether you have COVID or not, prior to, you know, the machines coming. And those are some of the use cases to which AI can be put. That's healthcare. We're talking about even things like, I mean, if you watch football here, you see things like, go line technology, that thing when it crosses the line and it just, that's a good use of, instant, they've trained a model on all these things. So those are the things that we can do. And I just want to implore the policymakers to sort of, take their time in regulating this. There will be, obviously, like when the first plane was created, you have plane crashes before you get it right. The same thing is going to happen with AI. There are probably going to be people that will do deep fakes. There are people going to use it to extort people. There are people going to use it to scam. People are already seeing it now, like even in cybersecurity, where a celebrity would actually call you and you actually see that you're talking to a celebrity, and but unfortunately what you're talking to is in an AI model that has been generated by someone to defraud you, and they tell you to send money and all that. But over time we think that yes, regulation will come in, but regulation that is focused on addressing specific uses, specific needs, what you can do, what you cannot do with it. And it also will take government to understand some of these things. So like the other speaker said, we need a lot of capacity building, we need a lot of training for policymakers, for regulators, and for some of these politicians.
All right, before we go on a quick break, let's look at the impact on society. Now, for some of these jobs that AI would now take over, are there going to be impact on society in terms of the interaction, the one-on-one interaction that people usually have when they go to certain offices or they want to do certain business? Any impact that will be harmful?
It will have impact, but at the same time, we cannot, the society, it's good. I think when you have a transformative technology like this, it's going to have more of a positive impact than it would, than the negative aspect of it. We're going to have, new jobs, coming out. We're going to have, maybe in the next 5-10 years, universities, higher institutions, even secondary schools will start to infuse. So we're going to have, it's going to be AI, and anything related to the internet and computing is probably going to be the same way we look at things like, calculator now. Like I remember when calculators first came out, so all of a sudden you can press anything and it will calculate it for you. And people thought, oh, what's going to, but guess what? It assisted in, it now freed us up. Instead of me having to use 4-figure table to be doing, now I can press a calculator. So it frees me up so I can think more of, and if you look at the inventions that have come as a result of that. So the same thing is going to happen to, it's going to benefit immensely this society, especially in this part of the world. It's going to be like the mobile phone. Remember that when the mobile phone first came into, before mobile phone, we didn't even have landlines in Nigeria. Maybe the ratio of lines to the population was like maybe 1 to like 100, But look at what the mobile phone has done, to the population. All of a sudden now, normally before, if you were going to see somebody, you would have to leave your house, go to the person. You don't even know whether the person will be at home or not. But right now, you can, call and at a low rate. That's the same kind of impact, if not more, that AI would have on our society. So I think it's going to have more of a transformative impact than a negative one.
All right, the conversation on AI is getting more interesting, but we need to go on this short break. When we return, the conversation will get bigger. Stay with us.
I'm okay.
My name is Raymond Bola Brown.
Hi, my name is Fred Amata, and you are on to Souq News.
If you are watching this channel for the first time, make sure you continue to watch it, because this is Souq News.
Shout out to Souq News. Actually, I don't know. I really enjoyed the little moment I spent with you, and I think with more of this.
Souq News. Here's the Souq News, who had the courage to transcend a locked off camera and actually have a conversation with a human being. It's a pleasure, Souq News. Thank you very much.
My name is Olatunji Shoti. I'm a performing artist and television radio presenter and a university lecturer, Unilag. Keep watching Souq News.
Hello everyone, my name is Kenny Black, Africa's finest music comedian, and you're watching Souq News. If you're not watching Souq News, I pity you, but keep watching Souq News.
Hello everyone, my name is Timmy Dakolo, and you're watching Souq News. Stay tuned.
Hi, my name is Wisdom Oluwaseun Okoko, co-founder Orbit Africa Properties. I'm live at Souq News. Guys, keep watching Souq News for everything that concerns business, economy, politics, news. Souq News is your station.
Morning and welcome to Early Exchange with Blessing Aiche, Femi Ayodele, Sam Oruoje, and Idahosa Osamanze.
It's a national orientation agency. is, as far as I'm concerned, very idle and unprofessional.
If government says that subsidy is not in oil and government is not supposed to be paying subsidy in oil,
energy or whatever kind of oil-based solution we will be looking at.
Today we are conducting mining today. Solid minerals, as an example, is, in no disrespect to anybody, is abysmal. We definitely need improvements in those areas. Of course, there are infrastructural needs.
This is Early Exchange, shaping policy, advancing development.
Yes, if you're just joining us, you're at the right place and we have you covered. We're still looking at artificial intelligence in respect to the World Economic Forum, taking place in Davos. And our guests are still here with us. Sheyi is still here in the studio. Glad to know you're still here with us.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure being here.
All right. Now, let's look at Nigeria now. We have our representatives, at the conference, but coming back home, how do you think Nigeria as a country can deploy the use of artificial intelligence? Now, if our delegates, if they return from this forum, what do you think should be the starting point for Nigeria?
Thank you again for that question. First thing is education on our own industry, local problems. Just before we went on break, we talked about AI and deepfakes. Now, guess what? The same AI that you can use to create deepfakes can also be used to know what deepfake is. So, for instance, now if somebody puts up a video of a politician, from one party saying something negative about another party, that same AI can be deployed to say, this image or this video that we are seeing is, not original. In fact, if you are on some of these social media like Twitter, X, for instance, when somebody puts up some kind of news, maybe like some kind of accident, you see below, it will tell you that no, this image was from 2002 that the person is, using as a recent video. That's AI at work. So those are some of the things that you can use, AI for in our own specific environment, on how to deploy it for, specific industries. So say, for instance, now there's a lot of financial fraud in the financial services sector. Again, you can use AI to, so if, for instance, they have a profile of all the customers. So, for instance, a customer that is earning, 100,000 per month, and they know that this is what he spends his money on. All of a sudden, if the AI sees certain, irregularities about, spending something, it automatically clamps down on that account, and because it will sense it as a financial. If you're normally maybe at the end of the month you only transfer money to two of your two kids, and somehow it's saying transfers going to different accounts, you will know that you can that's a fraudulent kind of transaction, and that AI will put a stop to it. You can use it in legal, you can use it in manufacturing. So those are the things that our leaders should now come back, not just copy and paste, because the problems affecting them in the other, in the Western world is not the kind of problems that we have here. We also need to train on our own data, and we have to incentivize people. We have to incentivize locals like you and I to actually train data. And an example I will use is if you find out that if you use something like Google Maps in Nigeria, it's different from when you use Google Maps abroad. That's why sometimes when some people are driving, they say, oh, it gives them directions to somewhere that, because it hasn't been trained with enough data, and there isn't any incentive for anybody here. Even the one we have was actually done by Google. They came down, they had to take, map, and we had physical maps, we had maps on papers before, so they had to come and digitize it with GPS and all that. So but it's very impossible for them to map the entire country. So imagine if there's a local company here doing all that and supplying that data to Google. That's revenue. Again, I said technology is all about making money, so that's some kind of revenue for the local here. So here too, we have to start training our data. We have data sets. We have, like, I saw someone online doing digitizing all the newspaper reporting since 1960 and putting it online. That's source of data, so that when you sit down and query, you'd have the right. So if I want to know what happened in 1963 January something by the president, I will go in there and it will give me the exact same thing. So that's what we need to do. That's what our policymakers need to do, and then they need to start incentivizing, giving AI companies here, because training data is expensive. I don't know if you know that how it is. OpenAI trained what they spend an average of 100 million every month just to serve, that content. We don't have that here. So you need to start incentivizing locals, companies, startups that are here on, if they are getting into this AI, you need to give them certain concessions, because they're actually helping, to facilitate this, data upload for the AI.
All right, let's talk to Sam.
Sam, now let me take you back to what you mentioned earlier on when you were talking about adapting, and you said it has to go through education. Now, what will be the strategy to ensure that we adapt so we're not left behind, or Nigeria adapts to the ongoing development, the innovations, the trend, the word is going in as it concerns artificial intelligence, so it's not left behind? Is there a strategy to that?
Sorry, I was muted there. Thank you for that question. And I think that this conversation is getting more exciting as I listen more to even Mr. Shei himself and even listen to what's going on. I think if we speak about it from the educational point of view, it makes it look as if, because the AI is even educational. The AI is telling us things to do, so it's even educating us in general. That's why I said we need to look at our years of school and job market mobility, how we're training our people to get into jobs now that they have a technology that can educate them. It's sort of, we need to change the educational model of how we're educating it. If I was going to answer this question effectively, I would say the best way for us to go about strategy, especially now that we even have our leaders out there in Davos having this conversation. I think one of the things that can facilitate their conversation is to start to talk about helping our countries and the states within our countries to do a readiness assessment. You want to know, is Lagos ready for AI? Ibadan, Delta, Kaduna, Abuja. The readiness of the AI first of that city would be a good strategy to start from. We already have things like readiness assessment from places like UNESCO and the rest others, and even organizations like our organizations that do these things to be able to say, what is the readiness of a city in regards to AI? And then the next part of that is to say, okay, what is the ethical impact of businesses that can have AI? So for instance, we definitely know that we cannot just allow businesses to run AI as they want, because what would they do? They might just kill many people. For instance, imagine a bomb making industry, or someone that makes chemicals, and allowing AI to run that chemical now can kill people, because the AI is still prone to error. It's still also prone to being hacked. And someone can hack into the AI system of a pharmaceutical company in Nigeria and hack into it and change some chemical thing there. And then next thing you know, the robot has produced all the medicine and people are taking it and something, maybe they're growing a big eye or something like that. I don't know. But we need to look at, these are the frameworks. First of all, the readiness of our cities, readiness of our countries. This is something that the government needs to do, the readiness of these things for the artificial intelligence. What is the readiness assessment of different states for AI? Do they have electricity? Do they have the infrastructure? Do they have digital infrastructure? Do they have these things? That's one side. The other side of looking at things will be this ethical part of businesses. What is the level of AI that this business should use? And then from there, we can start to get organizations that we can give these assessments, these ethics, to be able to allow them to have a structure of how, as an AI company, for example, as an AI company, I focus really now on data. I don't really know how to go to a business or go to the government and tell them this is how we should do Lagos, because there's no assessment. We've not done an assessment. We've not done a ethical impact structure of, okay, what is the level of, if you are a e-commerce, this is the level you can use AI. don't use it past here, because if you use it past here, you might be trying to eradicate human oversight or how humans do things. You don't use it in media and social media or digital marketing, because you're going to limit some expressive cultural thing. Like, there are many. So we need to, first of all, this is the strategy I'll recommend to the government and even individuals, to say, what is your readiness first? Assess that, and then also just assess the ethics. So you're not killing people, you're also not destroying the planet, you're also having this adaptive nature, you're allowing people to be more, as Mr. Sheyi was mentioning, being able to know that, okay, as I'm from the village, how do I get to now train my data, making things more adaptive, more collaborative. Until you do these assessments and until you do these ethics, you won't be able to know how to use AI very, very much in that regards. That'll be. I think I'll just leave that strategy for now. There's more we still need to do.
All right, Sheyi, part of the concerns raised by Sam is the issue of data. And you're aware when it comes to the issue of data in Nigeria, it's quite challenging. You're aware as well that AI thrives on data. So how do we overcome this shortfall as a nation so that we have a reliable data, like the concern raised by the Minister of Interior, the issue of passport and all that? They're trying to synergize the national data. What should be the starting point? And how can AI be deployed into solving this problem?
That's a very critical and concerning question that you've asked. The key data organization in Nigeria is the NIMC. That's the Nigerian Identity Management. And I think that they should rise up to the challenge. We have, even if we take AI out of it, if you look at data that we have, it's not unified. There is no central source of data for a Nigerian. In US, you know that with your social security number, there is absolute, in fact, even as a visitor, the US have a website where if you go in, you will know when you come out, just put your passport number and you will see your details. We do not have that here. And I think it has to start with that. So we find out that, they're disparate. You want to open an account with different, by now, I think by now, I should be able to sit in my house and open any bank account without they requesting for the same data that they already have. They already have BVN. They already have, once you have BVN. So with that, I shouldn't need to, be going they shouldn't be requesting for a lot of that data again, since they already, have it. So that's what we need to start with. We have NIN, we have BVN, then we need to have a unifying, data source where somebody can query, and I want to know something. And that's why there's proliferation of, cybersecurity fraud as well, because you can be Oluseyi Ayodimeji here, then in another place you are Oluseyi Akindende, then another place you are Ayodimeji Akindende, and the three of them are not tying to one person. You're seeing it just about 2 or 3 weeks ago. They were saying that, there's some bank accounts that don't have BVNs, they should be closed. How do we get to that level where even from the BVN we have, you cannot use that BVN to trace the bank accounts that do not have and link them? Those are some of the challenges that we are facing as regards data. And until we solve that problem where we have a single database that represents the identity of a citizen, then we have not started. Well, the other part is getting people to now start to train on general data to avoid some of these biases. You find out that the problems they have there, like over there now, when you're filling a form, before when we were young, it's either male or female. Now over there, you start to see other things that isn't peculiar to us here. So if imagine a child in Africa Googling and saying that, apart from male and female, so we have other, genders that, they are not used to. So we have to start to say, that is their own data. Let's start our own data. So I think going forward, every institution, every government agency, every business, every company is going to have a department of artificial intelligence. In fact, I'm going to go as far as saying that Nigeria needs to sit down and create, in addition to, yes, we already have the Minister of Technology and Digital Economy, we need to have, in Dubai they have a Minister of Artificial Intelligence, that's going to take care, because artificial intelligence is not just technology. It's not just using, it's a special use case that is affecting, just like the internet is separate from technology, that's why we have Minister of Communications and Digital Telecom. Then we still have NITDA, because that special technology is, so we need to start having something like an agency for AI that is not going to say, look, the data that, apart from when you gather this data, when you have data, there is data, you need to transform that data into something that is usable, that is something that is, and that's what the OpenAI and all these people have done. Now, we do not have that infrastructure here. We cannot afford a server. One of the ways to, if you're going to train AI, one of the equipment that you need alone to train AI, one of them is running into almost $500 million, one server, and you probably need like 10 of that. Where are we going to get all these kinds of things from? So that's why we need to sit down, and government needs to incentivize. There are people, there are very intelligent people. I've been listening to Sam talk, and he's very, these are people that are that they know what they're doing. These are people you can incentivize to say, look, since you're a data person, we can incentivize you, and other people like that, you will look for them, we give them a platform. Yes, the minister is doing something around that, this training he's doing, the 3MTT, the 3 million technical talent, but you see, that is still, the what I call the last mile training, because you are taking people that have never, been in technology, and you're trying to but we need to now take professionals, practitioners that are in this field, data scientists, and say, look, you guys come, meet us, let's have a forum, let's see what you can do. So if you are a practitioner, like Sam now is in the sustainability, okay, you give us data on emissions, on CO2 emissions, on sustainability, on carbon, then we use that. You that you are in technology, give us on this. You that you are in cybersecurity, give us on fraud, give us on cybersecurity issues, give us on, that way it will be very easy for us to start to create our own data, align the data with, global best practices. And remember that AI as well, you see, the AI here is still consumer driven. If you go to any organization, there isn't any organization in Nigeria now that is using AI as an organization, because nobody is going to put his own data on the cloud that belongs to another company, So what we would start to see is that every organization will start to train AI. So an organization like Souq News, all your past, imagine for instance, now I want maybe there's a guest you've had maybe sometime last year that spoke on a particular topic. The only way I'm going to find it now is if I go to YouTube and start to watch the videos one by one. But imagine if I just can query, an AI that you have built that, I might not even know the name of the guest, but I just know that it spoke on a specific topic. And I'll just say, I want to listen to the topic that was discussed on this thing, and it will narrow it down to the section of the video of that. That's what AI is supposed to do. But we need to train that, AI. You need to feed it in that data. So it's very, very, very important that we get it right, at this data foundational layer.
All right, let's begin to set some agenda for the information communication technology sector in Nigeria. Now, according to the NBS, which is the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics, for the year 2023, that sector contributed 15.97% to Nigeria's real GDP. That's almost 16%. I would say quite impressive. Now, so to consolidate on these gains, we've been talking about training AI, investing, government creating incentives. Now, what areas specifically should these investments be channeled to? If we want to consolidate the gains, are we going to say, in this aspect, we should develop AI for them, we should develop this sector of the ICT?
Before we even start getting to AI, AI is an advanced stage of computer science. We first need to get people on board with understanding, and if you go into the industry, the way I think that we are doing a lot of copy and paste. Our thinking here is different from the Western world. The Western world, they've taken a lot of things for granted. So when you are teaching a young person computer science, this is somebody probably that has been using computers since maybe he was 5, 6, 7. But here, the first exposure, even we that we are practitioners, I will tell you authoritatively that if you have gone to any federal school and we actually work with some of these students, some of them have not even seen a computer. If they've seen a computer before, but they have not seen a computer in a lab, setting where you would actually, I'm sure you're in broadcasting and you know the difference between using one camera and using a constellation of cameras and then using the same camera to stream to. So those are levels that we need to start to. So we need to get people. We need to have, like I said, a ministry or a parastatal that is going to deal with AI. That will be manned by someone that is a practitioner. So those are the things. So the investments coming in will go towards training and capacity building at several layers. So we start from maybe primary school. You start to let them know. A lot of primary school people, yes, we're hearing AI, but all they know is how to use ChatGPT. But you see, how do you build something like ChatGPT? How do you build something that can be used? So you start to teach them even things like coding. They start to learn how to code. So when they start to learn how to code, the ones that want to learn how to use it to build mobile apps, the ones that want to learn how to use it to build. And coding is not, people look at coding as a specific skill set. A broadcaster can be a coder. Like I said, I gave an example of a doctor who coded, an app that his patients could use to know whether they had COVID or not without coming. He was a medical doctor. He didn't read computer science, but because there was a need for that thing at that point in time, he learned it and he used that skill for himself. So those are the kind of things we need to start to imbibe into our own. And then all our schools, from primary to secondary to university, we need to start feeding in technology, everything. I hear some schools are banning using mobile phones and all that. No, we shouldn't. At this, you can't want to be at the forefront of technology and at university level you are telling them they cannot use mobile phones or they cannot use technology to solve their problems. It's akin to when they were trying to stop the science students from using calculators. It's not going to affect your level of thinking. It's going to make you more creative because you are now stopped from doing those mundane things. You can now be doing more creative things, and this is where the world is going. Then we better align. So I think our governments and people that are listening, and I'm sure they all listen to these things, should start to look at how to use investments to train our local people to solve our local problems.
All right, Sam, back to you now. The Minister of Communications has launched what is being called National AI Strategy, with the aim of creating 1 million digital jobs and also helping about 6,000 startups. Now, what should be done differently this time around so that it won't look like any other schemes that will be created and won't achieve the purpose intended?
Thank you for the question. Again, the conversation is always getting exciting every time I talk about AI. Mr. Shea is touching some interesting points there. So well done, Mr. Shea. I just wanted to give you some props there. I think, mentioning the fact that we have to have a ministry just focused on AI is actually an interesting thing to think about. I've never thought about it, but now I'm hearing it, I'm thinking, that's interesting, because we need to look into that sort of system so that we're not making the same mistake again in regards to adopting technology into Africa, into our nation, and setting a standard even for the rest of the African countries. I think that we as Nigeria, just listening to that statistics of how much the MBS has contributed to the Nigerian GDP, just gave me hope about what technology can do for Nigeria and for Africa. And this is one of the most passionate things I'm passionate about, that we can design something new from Africa that goes to the rest of the world. And that's why I'm very particular about the fact that we need to educate our people, not in the traditional way of educating people, but in a new way of educating them. So we need to look at new numbers, new system, and bringing in professionals that can actually design that new numbers and new system for data. Because to answer this question is it's sort of like you're giving the consultation to these guys to be able to help, but I'm sure they're listening. One of the things that I want to say that is, as a data collecting body or a ministry that's focused on technology that is around AI, you want to be able to assess the sectors that exist and assess, and I've mentioned this before, this readiness thing, to be able to assess the locations and be like, what is the current situation we are in? What is the desired solutions that we want, the situation that we want to see? And then what is the gap that's in between? And this is data. That's one data set already. Then you want to go down to the next level of it and say, okay, since I've already looked at all these sectors and I've given the current situation where they are, the situation where we want to see them, and the gap that's in between. Now I want to look into the patterns. I want to look into the trends. I want to look into the gap. I want to look into the anomalies that exist in these sectors. And then I want to do effective ways of collecting the data, which would now create a whole data set. So surveys, reports, analytics, feedback that we're collecting, and even new data ways, new data system collection, new data analytics collection that we need to be put across board. I think these three levels are things that many data companies should look into, not only data companies, the ministries themselves that are looking into these things, and even these AI ministry that have come together to put things together. They need to look into these three structures effectively to be able to analyze how AI can facilitate Nigeria effectively. Now, apart from that, we're talking all these ones now about the current situation, matching the current situation to the gap, looking at the patterns, the trends and stuff like that, and also looking into the surveys, the things that are used to collect this data, to feed it into those patterns, to feed it into the current situation and things like that. We want to actually also look into the infrastructure, and it's very important that we look into this. For example, we don't have servers in Nigeria. Effective servers. I know that I've followed that through to say which organization is actually managing or effectively managing data in Africa. Not only that, we have companies now like Mike, let me not mention names, that are actually focusing on making their data center more sustainable, because we know now that the consummation of these data, the fact that it takes a lot of power for a machine to articulate data, to run machine learning on a data set, or to model even data. It takes a lot of capacity and power. We don't even have electricity in people's houses, talk less of having electricity to power a data center. So infrastructure is very important. So as much as you're training all these people, where are you putting them into? As much as you're getting these guys ready for this system, where is the system? Have we started to build them? Have we started to create a infrastructure management of even just one data center? Let's just do data center for healthcare. Let's just even do data center for healthcare, so that we can actually align to what Mr. Shea is saying. So that, okay, everybody's NIN, everybody's BVN now is now connected to just health. Let's clean that data up. Clean it and say our situation with healthcare at the moment is that we don't even know who is sick, who is getting here. We don't even know anything about that. What the situation we would like to see is that people are getting good healthcare from the hospitals, whether private or government, and that's what we want to see. What is the gap? Then we start to collect data on that trend. Okay, your BVN, your disease is connected to you now. You're always going to the hospital every week. Okay, we're seeing that pattern that is coming from Lekki because there's dirty water there. Okay, we're seeing that pattern all the time. We need to align this infrastructure to that, because if you don't have the infrastructure, where am I putting this data? I should go and put it on Amazon again, and then it's now biased because I don't even get it. So we need to look at infrastructure. Then after infrastructure, look into the system effectively that actually looks at the situation we would like to see in our country. And if technology can help us do that with AI, we can set that up. And then, like I said, finally, we need to actually look at new numbers and system. We in Africa can design new numbers and new systems for the rest of the world. And we don't know we can do that because our government has not started to put us into that type of framework, that type of mindset. They are still telling us we need to train. And definitely, I love education. I love the fact of being educated. But personally, I've been educated with so many things. Like I know coding. I know this. I know that. Sustainability. All of that. I have that knowledge. But I didn't get that knowledge by going to one university for 10 years. Or 3 years before they now say I'm credible, have experience. We need to start getting our people fast. Like, I don't even know how to put it. There's a speed we need to put them into to be able to align them to what we need them to do in the use of these technologies, artificial intelligence, because I believe strongly that artificial intelligence can transform Africa to transform the rest of the world. We can actually start to articulate data. For instance, take mining. Mining, for instance, you're mining different places, you're removing things from different places, but there's no data of how we're mining these things and where they're going, what companies are they going to. If we actually collected only that data alone, the situation would be like we will not be losing $80 billion that we're losing every year that's been taken from the Western world. And it's on Google that Africa is losing 80 billion every year. But how? Where? When? Who did it? No data. Why? Because no data is stored here. But these companies that are actually taking these resources, that are doing these things, they are keeping data in their own country on how they are using the cobalts they took, how they are using the lithium they took for the battery that they are using to produce one battery in one place. They are recording it, but we didn't record it from here. If we change this concept, if we start to look at the infrastructure, then look at the situations, the patterns, the trend, the systems we want to, the things we want to change with the surveys, the data we're receiving, and then creating a new system, a new number system, we transform the way that Africa does things with this AI. And this AI we can actually use it for better things. I believe strongly we can. So it's not looking at it from let's train them so that they can go and work in the Western world. Let's train all these AI guys so that they can go and do tech for the Western world and get dollars, but actually using it for our own impact, for our own assessment of our location, for our own readiness of our ethics. That, come on now, people are in poverty. Let's use this AI to be able to attract where the money is going. The money is going somewhere. If we use AI to check that trend, we can actually save some money. And these are the things that our government needs to be looking into.
Okay, Sam, in providing solutions, local solutions, let's begin from there. Where should Nigeria start from? Recently, we saw a robot being built that could assist with farm work. But what other local solutions can we or can IT experts in Nigeria focus on to provide some relief?
One of the basic one first. Let me even do this is so basic. How do I report problems to my government? How do I report problems to my local government? I have a local government here in Etiosa. If I go to Etiosa now and I tell Etiosa what is happening to my local place, there's flood always that come out of my house. There's no way that I can track what Etiosa, how it takes that problem, how it converts that problem to the department that needs it, and then solve that problem. This is just one of the most basic data. That's why, for instance, somebody be telling me I should become an NGO. I should go to the remote area. But if I get to the remote area, I give 5,500 children books. I live there. The book, I don't even know whether they read the book. I don't know whether the book changed their life. I don't know whether the book got them to now do better things. There's no tracking of these reporting of problems to your local government, engaging with individuals to solve that problem and showing me the outputs. This is the most basic thing we can do with technology. I'm holding everybody. There's data now that 80 to 90% of people in Africa have cell phones. How come I'm not using the cell phones to just collect what is happening in their location? First of all, let me just even know what is going on where they are. Let me just know. That is the most basic thing we can do. The government cannot tell me that they cannot get people to just be reporting something to a central place where you report. Just let the local government have servers that we're reporting something to, and there's a tracking system of what is going on. As simple as that. As simple as that solution is the best thing we can even have at this point. Because from that, you can have a data set where, okay, hospitals in that place can say, okay, let's grab how much data of people that are reporting here that have reported to the local government that everybody is dying of malaria. Or let's adopt from here what we are seeing where people are reporting that they cannot pay for their hospital bill or something like that. They are reporting their, or we first need to, that's the basic. I think in the IT sector, all the IT guys that are developing things, and I don't have a problem with what they're developing with fintech, trying to bring financial inclusion. Fintech is the biggest thing we're having right now. And again, you know what? Maybe we should even stop collecting the investment from the Western world, because they keep pushing us to develop things that it's about destroying our currency, making things aligning to what they want, their own creativity. We need to start looking internally. What do we need in our country? And I tell you, this thing I just mentioned now is the basic of what we need first, to be able to know what is going on in different places. I can be in Lagos now and I want to help Delta. I'm from the Delta. How do I know what's there? I don't even know what's there. I can be in the US now and I want to know what is in. I'm here in Nigeria. I want to know what is happening in Salford, where I went to university. I know what is happening there. I'm not joking. I know where to go. I know how to go to citizen advice. I know how to call and ask a question, and I'll get the answer that I'm looking for. We don't have that in Africa. In short, just even basic 911 call. We have not even put data set for that. We know that 911 works in the US. So in Nigeria, can we even set up one that we can say you can just report now that armed robber just came to my house? Just a simple one like that for the police. It's not even hard. It's not hard to even set up a thing like that.
Sam, thank you very much. You have just shaken a lot of tables, and we hope that the carpenters can fix those tables as we go on. Thank you very much for being a part of Early Exchange this morning. Your contributions are greatly valued.
Thank you. It's always good to be here. Thanks so much.
All right. He's talked about using data for local solutions. How do we go about that?
Good.
Not just data, but providing local solutions. If we're developing artificial intelligence, developing different applications, how do we make them local to attend to local needs?
Fantastic question. It starts from being transparent. In this part of the world, what Sam said is very true. We are not transparent. We are not even as little as, say for instance, I'm a graduate, like I want to get into the field and I want to get into a specific industry. You know, how much salary can I earn from, you know, say I want to get into civil service, how much is level 1, how much is level 2, how much is level 10 earning? We are not transparent enough, and until we solve, it's not a technology problem. We don't have a technology problem. We have ideas. We have people here who can, you know, these servers, yes, they cost money, but I mean, if banks, financial institutions, embassies operate here, I mean, if you go now, you can, that's, you know, even things like delivery. Ordinarily, when you want to deliver goods, they tell you at what point your parcel is, you know, when it has left station. We have all those things, but the problem is that we are not just transparent, especially people in government, because we hide a lot of things here. We try to, we try to sort of sugarcoat things. So until we solve that transparency problem, that's why we still have elections that we'll do now, and people will still say, oh, I mean, we will all watch it, they will count the numbers, but we'll still somehow find that when they record these numbers, it is not what is counted that is recorded. And there are a lot of technologies, you know, blockchain technologies that can also help in that. But because here we are not transparent, and we are, by design, we don't want to be straightforward, so we don't want to implement something that will make these things, you know, transparent. Until we solve that problem, then we are not going to have the solutions that we can have AI over. That's why I'm advocating for something like a department or, you know, a ministry for AI specifically, because when you have that, then we cannot look at those pertinent issues with data. We look at data is not just anybody can collect data, even the internet, like anybody can put in any kind of data, but you now have to sieve, you know, the data. Like Sam said, people, if you leave it open and say people should just go and start reporting things, somebody will, if two cars have an accident, the way you will report it is going to be different from the way I will report. So whose data are we going to hold? So there needs to be a mechanism through which we sieve this data and we transform that data into something that is usable, that can now go into, you know, a database. But until we are transparent, until we are forthcoming, until we're truthful with some of this data, then we cannot get to. But once we have this data, it's there are all sorts of industries: healthcare, finance, agriculture, commerce. All those industries will need that data, so that once with that piece of data, so for instance, that if you have one, if for instance by now I have an NIN, there is nothing in Nigeria I shouldn't need to go into any organization. All I need is my NIN. So if I'm going into, you know, even an organization that I've never been to before, say I'm even coming into the studio, all I need is just put your NIN. We already know who you are. I don't need to fill my name, my address, my phone number, you know, if you do that all the time, you're gathering all this data, and some of this data we're not even verifying. But if I put my NIN, that NIN, you should be able to just query that NIN, and you should know every, you know, thing about me. APIs will be made available to people who want to query it from the government, and that's where we need to start. Once we start from that, people will now tap into, which is why I said NIMC, that's the Nigeria Identity Management Commission, should open up, you know, maybe train a model on all the data that they have, on all the information that they have, so that it will be easy. And once you have that, you will find that a lot of, like, we keep hearing of kidnapping, and we cannot track people that are kidnapping, and then some of these people even make phone calls and upload videos to YouTube, and we can't track them in 2024. There is something wrong with the kind of data that we have if we cannot still do that. So I think it's not about the data or the technology, it's about and then the will, and the transparency to be able to, do these things.
All right, before I get to Sam, let me start with you. How do we address the issue of infrastructural deficit that that exists in the ICT sector? What should be the priority of the minister come the year 2024 in addressing this shortfall when it comes to the issue of infrastructure in the ICT sector?
Incentivizing local production. There is nothing in a server now that we cannot produce locally. I mean, you go to most organizations, we're still using foreign equipment. You need to, there are people that have been trained in, this infrastructure. That you just give them an incentive to say, come and set up we already have car producing, car manufacturing companies, plants, and people creating their own generators and all that. Why can't we create our own servers? Someone was talking about these servers are still expensive. Why can't we, incentivize local production of motherboards, local production of, hard drives, local production of, RAM and monitors and all these things? We can't do that instead of having to bring in these things. Now, the reason why we have this infrastructure, when you import a lot, you pay the duty on what you're going to pay on that is expensive as well. But when you give incentives and you say, look, you want to set up a server manufacturing plant in Nigeria, we're going to give you 10 years tax break. Don't pay taxes to the government. Just produce. And then once you do that, yes, at the beginning, maybe the quality would not be that much. But at least as you go ahead and you start to use, then you start with using it for specific things. So when you for instance, they've started doing it in something like software now, where you say, well, we're incentivizing local, software developers, and then that's why you are seeing a lot of fintechs, a lot of this, because it's now easy for me to use a locally made software because everything is denominated in Naira. I can go online and buy things in Naira as opposed to going to Amazon and then I have to start converting from dollars and then shipping and all that. So they need to start doing the same thing for us to solve this infrastructure deficit. Then data centers, we need to start empowering people to create, data centers, especially like one of my own dreams is just to have a data center for artificial intelligence models. So if you want to train a model, say, this media outfit, you don't have to build your own server. Now, what that would mean is if you have that, your data would not leave the confines of the organization. But if you want to do that now, you have to upload your data to AWS or, Google Cloud. And once you do that, you are sending your data out. And, of course, in this day and age of, data protection and data privacy and all that, you're exposing the confidential data onto the internet. So those are some of the things that we need to do. We just need to start, and we need to just have the will and sustainability of these things. And government they need to be able to take it from one. It needs to be successive, because you can't even do this in even an 8-year stretch of a government. Now, I'm looking at some of the ministers now that we have. I'm sure if they leave now, another person will come and will rewrite a policy and will redraft and then will cancel what. No, it needs to be successive. We need to be building on what the other man has done, whether it's from my party or not. As long as what he's doing is on the right channel, we build on it. And I can tell you that this country can be transformed within the next decade if we align these interests together.
All right, Sam, good to have you back. Now let's look at competition in this space. As different companies are developing different kinds of artificial intelligence, Nigeria wants to also play global, and the target is the $1 trillion economy this year with the digital sector. So how can we compete favorably in this sector? Do we need to do some form of collaboration?
Thank you for that question. That's a very, very important question at this time, and very heavy for me to carry as well for for the competitiveness of Nigeria playing in the game of artificial intelligence globally. I think I would agree with you. First of all, we definitely need to have some collaboration going. But as I mentioned before, we need to allow for a creativity to design a new system. If we look at the Western world, one of the things that's happening that is making them very competitive in this AI system is that they're bringing up new things that you can use the AI for. There's always this new thing. I told you yesterday, I saw a new one now. You can attach it to the back of your phone. It hears your conversation. It gives you a summary of your conversation. They're beginning to use the AI in a more creative and more competitive way. And I think that we here, we need to start creating those type of system. But again, we still have a limitation because we don't have that infrastructure. And I wanted to speak to the infrastructure and just tap into the question that was asked to Sheyi as well, and just to contribute a little bit to that, because for us to be competitive in the landscape of technology, of digitalization, digital economy, we need to start looking into a collaborative trade across Africa's continents. Not, and I'm speaking because I'm in Nigeria now, I'm a Nigerian, but I also want to work with many people across Africa. And if we want to win in this game of digitalization, ICT, IT, we need to start looking at collaboration across the African countries. Why? One of the things that we have with infrastructure that's making us not competitive is no power. But then we still have African countries that have power. How can we as Nigeria take our money, put it in those countries, build servers over there, let the servers run with digital transformation from people that are consultants and great guys in Nigeria? You know, the server is there, but the functionality, the transformation is coming from here. Why? We have the smart people here, we have the power there. Let's start to do these type of things, because then the company is still from Nigeria. And we're offering these services to the Western world because they need more data centers. They are doing more AI. They need more data centers. And we have the ability to do that here. We have not just only the ability to do that here, we have the ability to actually use renewables to run this data center from Africa. So I agree with Sheyi that definitely we need to start looking into how can we incentivize people to do this here. But the government themselves need to start talking across the countries and say, wait, though, these people, they need us. Let's build data centers here that are more sustainable. Let them come and pay for our data center. One thing we're even seeing in the world right now is that consumers now are consuming things based on the ethics of the thing. So they're not consuming things now based on how flashy or beautiful it is now. It's more of the ethics. So imagine a company, African governments looking into creating servers from Africa and talking about the ethics of the fact that we as Africans were building this from what we have suffered and things like that. The people would buy more from us. We become more competitive in the market because of that situation, because of our story, because of our sunlight every time. We don't have snow like they're having right now in the UK. We're having sunlight every time, so we can power our servers with renewable energy. We have rivers cutting across the whole of Africa. We can put servers all around the rivers surrounding the whole of the African continent. We have a competitive landscape. I would really focus on the fact that we just need to be more creative, more collaborative with the way that we're designing the infrastructures and the digital transformation system in Africa. Again, it's still very particular about to just assessing our landscape, knowing what exists in our, because we have it. We have the ability to do this. I really believe we have the ability to do this. The only thing we need to focus on now is that creativity, that ability to get our people to say, let's do this thing creatively. But at the same time, as leaders, start to communicate across board. Okay, if you have more power in your country 24 hours in South Africa, we want to build our server over there and we'll power our server as well with some solar energy from here. Simple things like that. We're going to put the system that are going to run it with our company here that already does digital systems, already does infrastructure. They will be the ones to be able to power that. What we're doing now is that we're not going to the Western world to come and help us build it. We're building infrastructure and we're telling them we have the service to offer you. We're becoming more competitive. So I think that I would agree with you that definitely that collaboration should exist, but across the African countries. Because this no power situation that everybody's talking about is because Nigeria just wants to be in the forefront of everything. And we cannot be. We must be able to give some of these things to our Western, our African counterpart, our African brothers and sisters to run some of these things. And then we will run some other parts as well. Maybe we run the more intelligent part of things. They run more of the hands-on part of things. And we offer these services abroad. By the time we bring it back, we distribute the money. Nigeria will probably be getting 70%. They're getting 30%. We're all booming. We're all booming. Recently, I saw a data center that produces hot water. Look at how innovative they are going. They're having the heater in your house being a server. When I saw this, I was like, oh my God. So now you don't even have to pay for your hot water anymore in the Western world. Servers are paying for your water. Because why? They know that they need more of these servers. And since you need more of these servers, let's give hot water to people. And the heat from the server is powering the water for them to have hot water in their country. So they're already changing that. You see the creativity of that? Imagine having an air condition in Nigeria that is a server, and you are all bouncing it off. These are things that we need to look into. Like, how do we bounce off these things? So the data that is in that person's AC now, maybe his own power goes off. All the data in it is moved to another one's AC that is on. There are different ways that we need to do this. We have the ability to become very competitive in this market. It's just the fact that our government needs to create that environment, that conducive environment, by collaborating with themselves across countries. And then we, as the people, start to really focus on digital transformation. When I say digital transformation, literally from you as an individual all the way down to the organization you're using, always be saying, where is the digital thing of this? I enter shops today and I'm like, guys, I buy from you guys every day. Why have you not stopped my data till now? Why have you not taken my data to say, Mr. Sam comes to this shop, buys things every time? Before you know it, every time I'm coming, I recommend you something to me saying, Mr. Sam, you're always buying this drink. Oh, there's a new one now that has been made by a Nigerian counterpart. Stop buying 5 by Life that is made by the Western. Buy this juice that is made from the Nigerian person. It's also like that one. These are the things that we need to start looking into. I think I'll just leave it here for now.
That's great, and I must commend you for that. We just have to leave the discussion there. Note that you guys have made the subject of AI as simple as ABC, and you make it more interesting. So Sam, we need to thank you for your time and your submission on the issue of artificial intelligence.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. Looking forward to some great things.
All right, back to Sheyi in the studio. To wrap up your thought quickly in a few seconds, what should be done in the area of data affordability? It's a huge challenge here, but what should be done to ensure that that is taken care of in the year 2024? In a few seconds.
Yeah, thank you. Again, it comes to government policy, government regulation, government's incentives for people to create, because governments they are not just going to create this data themselves, so they need to incentivize companies. Like, for instance, they need to talk to people like you, like this kind of program, how many viewers did you have, how many contributors, how many this, what is the average, so that's what will give them, even when they are creating these policies, so that when we are looking at the positives, then we obviously start to look at people that are using it for negative things as well, then we balance it. So we need to have some incentive mechanisms in place for individuals, for organizations to be able to even submit this data. So that's what they need to do as they're coming back from the World Economic Forum. Is just not just listen to what the Western world is doing. We need to listen to them and then come here and implement it for our own local circumstance. That's what they need to do.
Thank you very much. It's been a wonderful show having you, Sheyi Akindele, in the studio today, and also with Sam talking about artificial intelligence, which is the way the world is going now. It is our hope that there at Davos, the delegates from Nigeria will do the needful and network with those that will help with collaboration that will give Nigeria the right positioning in this global stage as it concerns artificial intelligence and the information technology sector.
It's been a pleasure being here.
You guys made it easier, like ABC, and
yes,
great minds thinking alike. You are like twin brothers.
Yes, yes, it was a wonderful combination.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And thank you very much for being a part of the show today, all the way from 8 a.m. you stayed to this time, with the hope that you've had a wonderful time with us. We know that you did. Please feel free to drop a comment. You have
a thing or two to share regarding the topic of discussion today, you can drop that on YouTube or on any of our social media platforms at Souq News on Facebook or Instagram. I'm Blessing H. The show continues tomorrow, 8 a.m. West African time. Coming up at 10 here at Souq News will be Market Insights. Do stay tuned to Souq News.
And from me to you, the subject of AI is becoming a force to reckon with. So you need to prepare yourself for the great thing coming to Nigeria as the year 2024 is concerned. It's going to shape the ICT sector, and you have to do your best to catch up with this reality. Don't forget, Early Exchange returns tomorrow. I am Femi Ayodele. Bye for now.